we're back with another episode.
Glad to be back.
Glad to be back. I'm in a very good mood. I could have been in a very shitty mood. This weekend was the first time ever that I had a little scare of losing my wedding rings, my ring and my band. So I've never like had a scare of like losing them because I don't wear them that often. I don't wear them day to day just because it's going to the gym. I take them on and off, whatever, yada, yada, yada. So when I do, I don't take them off. So we went to dinner. We were like basically in the Bronx and I had stockings on. And last time I wore stockings, like when I went to pull them up, my ring snagged them and I had a huge run in them. So I was like, this isn't happening this time. So before we leave the restaurant, I go to the bathroom. I take my rings off. I put them down. There was like a little table in the bathroom. And then whatever, fix my stockings. I guess I didn't put them back on. So then from there, we were in the Bronx. Then we were driving to Manhattan for a birthday party. And it's about like 35-minute drive, right? We're almost there. We're like in Manhattan. And I'm holding Kyle's driving. I'm princess passenger, doing the GPS. And then all of a sudden my heart drops. I like touched my hand and I was like, my heart just dropped, but immediately I knew. I was like, I took them off in the bathroom. It wasn't like, wait, where are they? I knew right away. Like in 1 second, I was just like, and I just like took a deep breath and I was like, I forgot my rings in the bathroom at the restaurant. And it was like, and you were like, oh, what are you, and I was like, I'm going to call them. And I was like super like boom, 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 like on point, focus. I didn't freak out. I mean, my heart was racing, but I called the restaurant. They're like, yes, we have them. Someone found them in the bathroom and brought them. And I'm like, okay. They were closing, so it was late. So I was like, can I pick them up tomorrow? They're like, yeah, we open up at noon, whatever. So I felt like it was like a night to celebrate because it could have been so much worse.
Right.
And yeah. Then the next morning I drove an hour to go pick them up. Pick them up, came back. It was like the kind of the walk of shame when I went in. It was like the restaurant was opening and like they were kind of doing prep and they're like, I'm like, I left some rings here. I didn't want to,
rings.
I said my rings. I didn't want to say like my wedding ring because that just makes it sound so much worse. So, yeah, it was like the most enjoyable, inconvenient drive because you were like, oh, that sucks. You got to drive. Like, I feel bad. I was like, I don't care at all. I'm so happy driving there because I knew it was there. And it was only like 5 seconds I had to worry, just me calling them, wondering if they were going to say like no. Because someone could have just been like in the bathroom, hey, there's rings. I almost think if it wasn't a wedding ring, people would be like more inclined to steal it.
They're more like sympathetic.
For some reason, yeah, if it's a wedding ring, you're like, no, it's like more value. But you could have the same value of a ring and it'd be something else, but I don't know. But whatever, wasn't that big of a deal, but it could have been a really big deal. It was the first time I ever had a scare.
That's from CTE, you think? Why you forgot it?
Probably.
You just sat down and instantly forgot.
Yeah.
Like a goldfish.
That happens a lot with me, though.
I know. What do you think that is? Like, we joke around about it and like be like, oh, CTE, but you never really get hit.
Yeah.
I don't think you have CTE. You think it's just because...
Even if I had CTE, I think that's like later down the line.
Right. You think it's just, I hate even saying CTE.
Yeah.
I hate that. So
I'm
love
just
it
totally I
joking.
Can just say it.
Yeah. But it's probably, you think it's from like smoking a lot?
Well, no, because I wasn't smoking then.
That day you didn't?
Not then.
Right before dinner you didn't?
Like one, just like a puff of a pen before one isn't like, I wasn't even high.
Okay.
So no, I wasn't. I don't think it's from smoking.
If you were brown, this would all be avoided.
Why is that?
Because in brown culture, rings aren't traditionally like part of the wedding ceremony.
Really?
They do necklaces instead. I mean, they've adopted rings as of recently because it's just gotten so popular.
Okay.
But traditionally, there's like a necklace given instead.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So like when they get married, they don't. I mean, like you said, now just because for traditional, or that they get rings, but
they typically used to do like a necklace with like a pendant in it.
Oh
yeah.
wow.
That's nice.
Should have been brown.
Should have been brown.
Always.
My Muslim brother.
Yeah,
But yeah, first scare. But I don't know. I am forgetful of things.
you are.
You always like to point it out, but a lot of the time, I think you have like concern with that. You're like, you always forget things. You forget. How is that possible? But the thing is, in our household, I have more things that there's more things to forget for me than there are for you.
Sure. Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? There's more daily little tasks and responsibilities.
So you're up to the plate more, so you're bound to strike out more.
Right.
Right.
Percentage wise, it's probably the same for both of us.
You think?
I think so.
Maybe.
I mean, because I do most of I do the household management.
A lot of it.
Most of it. Which is fine. I love it. But I think that's why you think I forget things a lot, but it's really just because I have more things to forget.
Yeah, it could be.
Who takes the trash out?
I do.
Ew, you think I take the trash out?
Well, I don't know. That's why I'm
I
asking.
would never. There's two things I never do. Well, three things. Take the trash out, shovel snow, and move furniture.
You've never shoveled snow?
I mean, I have, but that's not my...
Not your job, yeah.
I'll stay in the house for like 7 days before.
I'm not comfortable with you setting these gender roles, traditional gender roles.
I am.
Gender's an outdated concept. And you're putting me,
I'm more traditional than you.
I guess.
I make your coffee in the morning. If I'm up.
If you're up.
I make dinner unless we have steak.
We split dinner.
Yeah. No dinner to split.
Yeah, so
you never forget your ring because you don't wear it.
Yeah, I don't really wear my ring.
You don't wear your ring?
No.
He wears
my fingers are hurt.
He wears his ring when we go to a wedding.
Yeah, that's about it.
For some reason, we'll be ready to go to a wedding, and I looked down like, why do you have your ring on? He's like, I don't know. I feel like we're going to a wedding. I should wear my wedding ring.
So when you're out in a nightclub, you don't have your ring on?
No.
It's dangerous territory, Mr. Kyle.
Why is it dangerous?
Not very
Well, I'm not really in nightclubs very often.
Well, when you guys are going to nightclubs together, you know what I mean?
Not really.
What
Very
do you
rare.
mean?
I mean, sometimes.
Not too often.
We probably do more than people our age.
Yeah.
Has somebody come up to you in a nightclub like while you've been with Katlyn and just start hitting on you?
Well, yeah. A pool party in Vegas.
What'd you say?
But I was like
Nothing
not
really.
standing with you when it happened, right? I was like in the bathroom or somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, what happened?
I mean, nothing really happened. They're just, are you here with anyone? Stuff like that.
And he said, yeah, Jake.
Yeah. Yeah. So UFC, what, 283?
Yeah.
Brazil. I like when a card's in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important that Brazil stays like super relevant with lots of good fighters. Like traditionally it was like the best fighters you thought were from Brazil.
Right.
Now it seems like it's shifting to like Dagestan or Russia. But I kind of like it when Brazil has, it's important because it's so much history there. Culture. Yeah. And I just think it's good to have like the talent spread globally.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool.
They said I think I remember hearing in Brazil, there's no pay-per-view for UFC.
Yeah.
It's all on basically like
I think most countries.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and public cable. So like that's kind of why they say it's like a little bit more popular in some areas. Think about it. If it was on just free, how football is.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. But I think that right now Brazil has more, like, it almost seems like there's better Brazilian fighters than there has been in a little bit. And there's two on the undercard that are on the come up that I was super impressed with. The first was Ismael, I think Bonfim versus he fought Terrance McKinney, and I've been a big fan of Terrance McKinney. Do you know him?
Mm-mm.
He's the guy who actually he knocked out Frivola in like 7 seconds.
Oh yeah.
He had a really exciting fight. We were at it against Drew Dober. He was like fucking him up and then
okay.
lost.
Yep.
But he's a super, super tremendously talented fighter. but he got fucked up by this Ismael Bonfim, and he got finished with a flying knee, but super impressive. And again, at 155, it's tough you kind of got to go on a run to get noticed. But I definitely noticed him. I think he's going to be really good, do really well. He obviously is already really good, but I think he's going to win a lot of fights. Then the next one, I've been on this guy for a minute. Jailton Almeida. Did you watch that?
Mm-mm.
Jailton Almeida is another Brazilian fighter. He fought Abdurakhimov, Russian. And his grappling is, I think, right up there with some of the best in the UFC. He's got 4-0 in the UFC, all stoppages, usually on the ground, but takes everyone down really easily. Super jacked, really big. He's another really good, I guess, up-and-coming Brazilian fighter. But he's at 205. I think that he'll probably get a ranked opponent next. But he's super impressive. Then we have the main card. We'll start there because that's what you started.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Craig, Johnny Walker. What'd you think? Your boy, Paul Craig.
I like Paul Craig, but I feel like it's just one of those things. He reached a certain level, which is crazy to say because he beat
Hill,
yeah,
the champ.
And what's the Russian?
Yeah, he beat him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like to say that, but I think it's just with him, it's kind of like the code's been cracked a little bit. And I hate when you watch the fights and they're like, he's been working on his striking with this. It's like for this fight. It's like he's kind of too. I think he's like 35.
Yeah.
It's kind of like too late for that. So I think he's probably at his cap. Like,
right.
Because now you're fighting like the best of the best. You're striking, even if it improves, it's probably not going to improve to that point. And he doesn't really like shoot takedowns from far away.
Right. He does his best work off his back.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see a ton of submissions off the back anymore.
Right.
You definitely see some, and he has a bunch. But he's obviously best at jiu-jitsu, but it seems to me that he's a bit of like plays off his back.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not someone who goes out and takes someone down. This fight, Johnny Walker threw a kick and he caught the kick.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of looked like he just kind of locked himself in on that single.
Well, I think he
and
held on to the kick and got basically knocked out.
Right.
And then was like still holding on to it. And it was pretty crazy. It just goes to show like with Johnny Walker, like, you know, he got his leg caught and he just started hitting him. And it's like there's a lot of fights where that happens, where certain like ground and pound or shots that you don't learn, it's just instinctual. And a fight, like you've seen some fights where people from the bottom are striking and then they knock the person out.
Yeah.
And those are always interesting to me because you are like, and Johnny Walker was throwing like ground and pound, like hard ground and pounds from different angles, kind of just behind him, like almost like back fists. I think those are interesting because you can never practice them. You don't do that on pads. That's where it's like literally just a fight.
Right.
You know, you just are trying to like knock the person out no matter where. I think I always found those type of situations are a little hard for me because you don't practice it. So like the only time you ever really get to do it is in the fight, in the pressure. It's pretty tough to do.
Yeah. Johnny Walker's always seemed like the type of fighter who could generate a tremendous amount of force in like a very small space.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had a few of his first knockouts were like from a clinch and the short elbow and just dropped him with a short elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And he had like a couple like jumping knee knockouts. He's very explosive. So I would imagine like his hammer fist and anything that he throws hard, he generates a lot of power.
I think a lot you see when people just do that little bit of effort, like whether it's breaking on a clinch or just in those different scrambling positions, just that little bit of extra fight or effort. I think either where you can get a knockout or you kind of pull away and win a close fight.
Yeah. When he first came on the scene, everyone was saying, oh, he's going to be the guy that beats John Jones. Mm-hmm. And there was so much hype behind him. Then he had that stupid injury where he was celebrating and messed up his shoulder.
Yeah, he still does it, though.
Yeah, it's crazy. Then he had the bad loss to Corey, and he had a couple of losses, but it seems like he's kind of, I don't know if he's healthy again or just back on a winning track, but
also,
he's won a few in a row.
Probably a favorable matchup.
Definitely was probably a favorable matchup, but I could see him kind of going back on a run. I mean, he's super dangerous.
Yeah.
But Yeah, it'll be interesting. He's had some good wins, but yeah,
So
I don't know.
Like basically, I don't know, tore his shoulder doing the worm after, and then was out for 6 months, and everyone was like making fun of him, whatever. Now he still does it, and they're like,
no,
why does he still do that? But I almost think you got to double down on it because if you stop doing it, like,
I don't think you should.
What are the chances of it happening again?
Not worth it, even if it was like a tiny chance, because it's not even cool.
No, I would be too scared to do it again, because if it happened again, I would be even more embarrassed.
So embarrassing.
Yeah.
Then we had a couple of your girls, Andrade and Lauren Murphy. What did you think of that fight?
Yeah.
Were you surprised? It's pretty one-sided.
No, I wasn't surprised at all.
No.
I'm always think that like Lauren Murphy's a little like delusional, but you know what I mean?
She looked really good her last fight against Miesha Tate. I know Miesha Tate's.
See, I mean, yeah, she looked good against that. But I thought both of them looked like the slowest. I was like, whoa, like both of them looked 10 times slower than they ever have, like in their like last 2 fights before that. I was just like, that's really, you know what I mean? She definitely looked good against Miesha Tate, but it was like both of them still didn't look that great to me.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you know Andrade is only 31?
It's crazy.
So when they showed that, I was like, wait, what? They're like, because she's been in the UFC.
Forever.
And she probably like I think she has the most fights out of any female.
Yeah.
And she was in it in the beginning, like before Reebok.
Yeah.
She fought at 135, then 115, every weight class, which is crazy because she's like only 5'1" or 5'2". She's super short. But yeah, I knew like she would win. I thought, yeah, it was just an absolute beatdown. Just Laura Murphy, I feel like her last fight and this fight, she just looked so much slow. Like, I don't know what it was. If it was like after she lost to Valentina, it was like she just looked so slow. Before that, on her like come up to getting the title shot, you could see like, oh, she's really improving on her wrestling. She has solid jiu-jitsu, but she was like improving her wrestling and kind of like, you know, there's not a whole lot of like wrestlers at the top of the division. I guess maybe more so like 2 years ago. And but her last like 2 fights, she looks like an older fighter. She looks super slow, zero head movement, and Andrade has really good boxing. Everyone thinks of her as just like, you know, kind of like a swinging, like like throwing like Brazilian bombs, but she has really good boxing, and she was just like too much pressure, too much volume, too much power for her. But you know, obviously, Lauren Murphy was like fine. She was getting hit, but she wasn't getting knocked out. I think that a big controversy was everyone saying, oh, that should be stopped. It should be like her coaches should stop it. I didn't really agree with that. You know, I think, first of all, I watch all the girl fight. I fought Lauren Murphy. Her face just like gets bruised pretty bad.
Yeah, some people just wear damage.
She wears damage. I think she's like looks a little pale, and then when she gets hit, it gets super red. They kept talking about how bad her face was. I'm like, it was one of those things where I'm like, would they be making such a big deal about it if it was guy fighters? I don't always say that, but for this one, I don't know. She was definitely getting pieced up, especially the last like 2 minutes of the third round. But there wasn't one time where she was like wobbling.
Well, I saw an interview or a quote of hers that she was happy that the corner didn't stop.
Yeah, I didn't think her. I mean, I didn't think that. If they would have stopped, it would have just been like, okay, like, what's the point? You're losing. But
right.
I mean, she was still going for takedowns. Like, I don't know. If I were her, I wouldn't have wanted it stopped. It wasn't, like I said, there was no point where she was like rocked. You see fights all the time where people are like basically knocked out and keep fighting, and it happens over again and they're getting tagged up. That's kind of like, that's a little different where you're like, oh, they might be rocked and then not be able to defend yourself. She was like still moving. She just was moving slow, and she just wasn't moving her head. But I don't know. They kept talking about that, and I didn't agree with that. But I saw a lot of I got tagged after the fights. A lot of people were saying like, you know, after fights they do matches to be made, and they were all saying like me and Lauren Murphy.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's like, please. Yeah. I would love that.
Zane, you should make that a clip. Her accepting a fight with Lauren Murphy.
She would love that. I don't think she's the biggest fan of me.
Mick Maynard is on record saying that he wanted the fight to be stopped.
Who? Mick Maynard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was. I don't know. Maybe it looked worse in live, but I didn't think it was. Like,
I mean, it was definitely a beating, but she didn't want it to be stopped.
worse.
So good for her for finishing the fight strong. She's a tough person.
Yeah.
But Andrade, I saw, wants to get a title shot, and it's so weird. She just goes back and forth so seamlessly, but she wants a title shot with Wei Li.
Yeah.
Do you think that could happen, or who else needs to? What else needs to happen down at that weight?
I know. I think they have like. What about like Marina Rodriguez?
Well, didn't she just lose to Mackenzie Dern?
Did she?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like I don't remember like what's been going on at strawweight.
Yeah, well, because a lot of them left.
Mm-hmm.
Now Tatiana Suarez moved up. Rose is moving up.
Yeah.
Now Andrade is up.
Yeah.
Johanna retired.
Because I thought she was.
That weight thinned out. Maybe you should drop down.
Yeah. No, it did kind of, but it's just weird how like just a few little changes, that division was so stacked, and then now it's like with just a couple of them moving to 125, it's like 125.
And Johanna leaving too.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think in the top 5, 2 of them moving up, 1 of them retiring. That's a big deal.
Big deal. That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, on the top 5. That's
and
like,
I think the rest of the division
and
is
the champ
like
could
kind of
only
new.
fight the contender, right? It's
Right.
not like they're in the bracket.
Yeah. I think the rest of that division is like, there's kind of like a gap where the rest of it are all like a little less experienced. Like, not that they can't beat them, but they're just a little.
Yeah. So I think if she were to declare that she's going back down to
that would be a good
strawweight,
fight.
I think she could get that rematch.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like it would make sense.
Yeah, I think that would be
she
good.
She got finished right away, but weird things happen.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrade, she's had a very unique career. I was looking at her, before just prepping for the podcast, I was looking at, her fight record. She has a win over the girl that just beat Kayla Harrison for the PFL championship at
really?
155.
Yeah, and was it at one?
Well, it was at 135.
30,
so
yeah.
That just goes to show 155 is not a weight class.
Yes.
This girl was the girl who's the champion of PFL. I'm sorry, I forgot her name. But she had 2 fights in the UFC. One of them was against Andrade, and she got finished.
At 135.
At 135. But that's pretty a big span of people. I mean, Andrade also has a win over Raquel Pennington.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
She has huge wins at every weight class.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
That's
the
why
fight
when
that I
she
always
fights
wish
at
you would
125,
fight her
she's
again.
Yeah, when she fights at 125, she's still. It's not a disadvantage size wise for her at all, because I think
she's hard to take down, and she hits hard. And
that's what I'm saying. She's fine at either one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I obviously would love that rematch.
Yeah, that's if I could have one more fight for you, I would like that one.
Yeah.
Just because it would be a good win and a good one to get back.
Yeah.
She's an iconic, legendary fighter.
For sure.
No
like
doubt
if they
about
have like the Women's Hall of Fame, that show's definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely in that category.
Then we had 2 fighters that I'm a big fan of, Gilbert Burns, Neil Magny. Gilbert Burns kind of ran right through him.
Yeah.
Pretty easy win for Gilbert.
Yeah, just kind of a overhand slick body lock, took him down in 2 seconds, and then just kind of crushed him jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and Neil Magny is a fighter that I've always been a big fan of. I think he has the most wins in that division, but he's a good grappler. He's got good cage wrestling and stuff. He does well, but whenever he goes against a great grappler, that's when he seems to struggle. Like Michael Chiesa, Damian Maia, RDA, Rachmanov. They all, I think Chiesa was a decision, but Maia, RDA, Rachmanov all finished in the same way that Burns just did.
Yeah.
Like some type of choke, either head and arm or rear naked.
Yeah. I think that, like you said, he's good at cage wrestling, but I think once they get him down on his back, but all those guys, I think
the elite grapplers he struggles with. Everyone else he kind of does really well with.
Yeah. And he is good on the ground, but obviously Gilbert Burns is on a whole nother level. Like he's on a high level in the jiu-jitsu world, not just because there's different levels of jiu-jitsu in MMA. There's they have really good jiu-jitsu, and it's like no, in jiu-jitsu they have good jiu-jitsu.
He could go in the ADCC and do really well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They always say like, well, I hope we see this fight. You don't want to be deprived of Francis and John Jones, like a big fight. I think it would be just a travesty if they don't make Burns and Covington at some time. Yeah. Like that fight needs to happen. I like that better than like the title fight.
So what's up with Colby? Is he was like not fighting because of like the whole lawsuit thing, or
I don't know.
I kind of forgot about him because of that. It's been,
but that would be such a sick fight.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins that?
Colby.
Yeah. You think Gilbert doesn't take him down and Colby wins with what? You think Colby takes him down?
I think maybe like it's not so much. No one really takes each other down because of like kind of like Colby and Usman, and then I think Colby will like outvolume him with strikes.
Yeah, maybe it's a hard fight because I think Colby's definitely a better wrestler. Like I think he has a takedown advantage. I don't think Gilbert would be able to take Colby down. But I can't see Colby taking him down and keeping him down. I think that Gilbert would.
Gilbert, I could see like Gilbert like going for a takedown, but not being able to hold him down, but being able to maybe like jump on a submission.
Yeah, you think so?
I mean, I could see that happening more than him taking him down, holding him down.
No, yeah, he's not going to take Colby down, but I think that Colby will have a hard time keeping Gilbert down. So it'll be like you said, a striking fight. Mm-hmm. I think that Gilbert has a bit more power.
Yeah.
But Colby's striking definitely is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, he does volume.
And he does the volume
punches,
with the pressure.
His stance.
He just puts pressure the whole time, which should take away the power.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'd be pretty close. Wouldn't bet on it, obviously.
Yeah, it would be a tough fight. I really hope that fight happens.
Yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah, such a sick fight. Then we had Figueiredo and Moreno. I wasn't really too excited for that fight. But I'm glad it was like a decisive. Well, I guess not technically decisive, right? It was a doctor stoppage.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll run it back one more time
for just a quick fifth time.
But
you know what?
Right?
I always say like the last like 2 or 3 fights, and I'm like, again. But every time I watch the fight, I'm like, I like watching them fight, and you know what I mean? I'm always like, this again. It's kind of, I'm like, that's lame. That's lame. And then their fights are so good. They're so fast. Moreno's wrestling's really good.
Yeah.
Like really good.
Yeah.
I wonder like how he like learned that.
I think he's a really hard worker, trains all the time. Probably just is always grappling.
He's good at everything. I mean, I think sometimes Figueiredo in this fight, I think he has like obviously has a good guillotine. I think sometimes that kind of hurt him where he either accepted a takedown or went for it in like certain positions where I'm like, it's weird because if he gets it, it's great. But if you don't get it, it's like, why did you go for that?
Yeah. You more often than not, I think in the big fights, when people jump for a guillotine before they defend the takedown, I think it doesn't pay off. Like, I think of Glover and Yuri. There was a mistake there. I mean, you see it occasionally. But sometimes obviously Figueiredo has an amazing guillotine and squeeze so good, and
he's won with that. So
definitely at high levels. Now they say Figueiredo, they talk about how much weight he cut, and he said that he's going to go up to 135. You're someone who cuts a lot of weight. What do you think about that decision?
I mean, it's like weird. I don't think it's a bad decision. You go one fight there, see how you do, and then you know what I mean. Then you'll know. I think it's kind of tough a little bit for the guys. I don't know. It just depends on who you go against, because I want to say like the guys, it's tougher because guys are bigger, but it's all the same. It really just depends if the draw of like who you're fighting. If you move up a weight class, you might be fighting someone that cuts a lot of weight for that weight class. So now you're at a disadvantage. But if you're going against someone that doesn't cut that much weight, which I don't think everyone cuts a lot of weight. I think most people do. I don't think that everyone does. From what I've seen, I think there's more. I'm always like surprised by how many people don't cut that much weight.
Right.
Like I said, I think more people cut a lot, but there are, so and it depends on your style. You know what I mean? Like Frank Yeager, Gregor, they have like a really good wrestling style where them being like undersized isn't too much of a big deal.
Yeah, there's fights that I would like to see Figueiredo like.
They showed, I mean,
against him and Merab. Merab's not huge. Him and Peter Yan doesn't look huge to me. But you put him against Aljo, I think he's having a really hard time.
Yeah,
like someone like Aljo
and because
is
of that style,
so much bigger than these guys. And I hate when people say like, "Oh, that's cheating," which is the most insane thing ever. But that's the lamest thing people say. But I love it.
Cheating? You're not breaking
when
the
someone
rules.
like Aljo or Pereira, like these big guys for the weight, you go out and do really well because you're disciplined with your weight club, put the weight back on, and do really well. But like Aljo is, really gonna have his way with Figueiredo if that matchup were to happen, someone like that. But there definitely is guys who his stature is more similar to.
Yeah.
That he could do all right. But I don't think the best guys of that division, the big, like even like O'Malley, like those, he's just so big.
I think there was a fight where Figueiredo fought, and I think I was on the same card. It was like after he had missed weight for one of his title fights before, and then I don't know if it was the first fight after that or a second fight after, but like on Tuesday of fight week, he posted his weight kind of to be like, no, I'm good. I'm only like this much over, and everyone was like making such a big deal about it. And I was like, oh, I'm cutting more than him. Because we're the same weight. And I think we were the same day. We were fighting on the same card, or I just knew what I weighed on Tuesday. I was fighting around the same time. And I was like, oh, I cut more weight than him. But for that fight. So a lot of times when fighters, they miss weight, then the next one they come in super light. Yeah. And then each one they kind of go up. But yeah, I don't know. It all depends.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Then we had Glover versus Hill, a new champion. It was kind of like the Lauren Murphy and Andrade fight where you could have maybe stopped it just because of volume, and Glover was not really threatening much.
But you're supposed to stop if they're not defending themselves.
Right.
If they're still moving, and you know what I mean?
Of course.
You can't stop it because you feel bad for the person.
Well, that's what the ref is supposed to do, but the corner can stop out of like, carrying. Like,
right.
But whatever. I mean, he's a legendary fighter. He got to finish the fight. But Jamal Hill, his style, I think that is like still like one of the best styles. Like his takedown defense looked amazing, and Glover's really good at taking people down. His takedown defense was fantastic, and his just volume of striking is so good. And he's not necessarily probably going to take people down, but if an elite grappler like Glover can't take him down with his speed and his striking and power, he's a really hard matchup for anyone. I know he lost to Paul Craig. He got submitted, but again, he got the takedown and he was on top, and Paul finished up.
Right.
But I don't think he's been taken down yet. So I don't think like wrestlers are necessarily a big threat to him. Like Glover's about as good a grappler as you're going to have really in that division now.
And I saw it was interesting. Cause I remember right after we were like, oh, that's interesting that like he's the champ now. And like my first reaction was like, oh, UFC's probably not like super amped about that. And then I realized, I was like, no, they're super amped about that because he's the first person from Dana White Contender Series to become a champion. And so, and they pump the Dana White Contender Series. They love that, and they promote the fighters. So when they do good, it could be like they come from there to draw more attention. So people watch the Contender Series more. That basically replaced the Ultimate Fighter.
Totally.
And it is great, but like even still, sometimes I don't think to watch it just because it's like, I don't think to, and then I'll know someone on it, and then I watch that, and I'm like, oh, these are great. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially they're kind of fun because a lot of them are like mismatch.
Yes.
Like it's just how it is. Even on the regional scene, you'll get someone that is like gonna become the in 3 or 4 years become the UFC champion, and then you'll get someone that's like probably never be in the UFC, and it just happens to be. But I think it was like they said he made his Dana White Contender Series in 2019, and he became the champ.
That's pretty quick.
That's super quick.
Yeah, I mean he only has, I think he's 12-1.
Yeah.
Or 13-1 at the most, but he has very few fights. tons of finishes. Now it's already though is a really good storyline because Glover coaches Pereira.
Ah, yeah.
So
I always forget about that.
and that Pereira struggles to make weight. I would imagine he wants to move up.
Mm-hmm.
I would bet that the next fight will be Pereira and Hill.
Did he say he's going to move up? Or is that kind of just been talked about?
He's kind of just talked about, but I would say that will be the next fight.
Yeah.
And that's a sick fight.
That's a sick fight.
Yeah.
It's crazy because that's
Pereira's maybe like a hard matchup because he's mostly a striker, but
that's a sick matchup, and I feel like both of them are. It's just crazy how much the divisions in the sport changes.
They're both new.
Just that's what I'm saying. Like 2 years ago, maybe even a year ago.
2 years ago, Pereira wasn't in the UFC.
Yeah, I was gonna say a year ago. I didn't know who either of them were.
Yeah, Hill was in,
maybe
like you said, since like 2019. I followed Hill for a little bit, but they're both combined have like 20 fights.
Yeah,
that's pretty insane.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope that happens.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah, but it's cool. Hill. It's also nice when there's like American champions because there really aren't
not
any.
happening that much. Yeah,
there's really almost none.
Yeah.
I think Aljo and him now.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's definitely it.
I keep thinking, am I missing one?
No, that's it.
No. Yeah.
So it's good to have an American champion in this sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, so good win for Hill. Good fights overall.
It was interesting. I saw during the Figueiredo fight, I don't know like what was going on, but like I could tell in the background, like the stands, there was a lot of empty seats.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like the section I was looking at, but I was like,
it doesn't
that's
seem
weird
right.
because it's in Rio, all Brazilians, and it was like the co-main event championship fight, and I was like, there's a lot of empty seats. I don't know what I noticed that real quick. I don't know if that was just something weird going on, but I was surprised with that.
Yeah. We had a couple fan questions.
Okay.
Most of the fan questions are just so weird. You can't even bring them up.
So weird. So I post on my thing fan questions, and Kyle will be like, before we record, oh, did you get any questions? And it's always fun just to read off the questions.
Yeah.
Half of them aren't questions; they're just like words.
Yeah.
Like a lot, just like the OnlyFans sex. Oh, when we posted the clip last week about me talking about OnlyFans, saying like, oh, I wish I knew how much, I wish I could have some type of a gauge of how much, I would make. Maybe that would change my mind. I thought it was funny because Paige Van Zandt DM'd me. She goes, oh, I know exactly how much you would make. She goes, I never thought I would do it, but she's like, it's the money I've made is life changing. And I literally responded to her. I was like, girl, you're like super, super famous. And like, she's always like been like a sexy girl, you know what I mean? But she was just like,
so did she push you towards it? She tell you to?
And I was like, you don't count. You're like super famous and like super sexy. She's like, oh my god, you're sexy too. I was like,
nice.
Thank you, but it's not the same.
Well, the following, right?
Yeah.
Like she's got like 5 million followers.
Yeah,
right?
and then but yeah, I don't know. I also got an offer for like a signing bonus for OnlyFans. Yeah. Like how much they would pay me just to make an account.
Well, what are we doing? Let's get us paid.
I don't know.
We got things to buy.
I'm thinking maybe I should, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cute. She like DM'd me that.
That is cute. Support it. She's supporting you.
Yeah. She's like, dude, I'm like a little bit different.
No, but it's cute though.
Yeah.
I like that. I like when people aren't haters.
Women supporting women.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Yeah.
Feminist. So someone's asked me, they said, what are your thoughts on the age of competition in NCAA wrestling? I think what they're inferring is that because of like the COVID years,
COVID and red
shirts, you lost a year, then the next year didn't count. So there's guys that have
I think you red shirt one.
And then red shirt, Olympic red shirt, another Olympic red shirt, injury red shirt. There's guys that have been in college for like 8 or 9 years.
That's crazy.
The University of Iowa kind of does this a lot. They have guys like there's a guy a couple years ago, Alex Marinelli, and he was like 25.
Okay.
But me and Gregor have talked about this a lot. And everyone's like, some people be like, oh, it's not fair. He's 25 years old competing against college kids.
If it's the rules, but
but I think that with collegiate wrestling, not freestyle necessarily, but collegiate wrestling, at some point, age is like a point of like diminishing return.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you've been in college wrestling for like 7 years doing that grind, those weigh-ins, all those practices,
your body's going to be
breaking down. That's designed for like 4 years, not 7.
It's not like MMA.
It's not like MMA. It's a point of diminishing return where like your body starts falling apart. You're not as fast, not as strong, don't recover as well. And not that 25 is old, but it's old for that specific sport. Just like 19 is old for like women's gymnastics, right? Like those girls are like 14, 15, 16. If
just
you're
because
20,
they're taxing on the body.
Yeah. So I don't think that it's a tremendous advantage for most people. You don't see too many like guys that are like 24, 25 win the NCAA tournament.
That's interesting.
But it's just kind of weird that you would want to be involved in NCAA wrestling for that long.
Well, I would say, as like not a wrestler, I would just think it's kind of weird. Like when you're 25, you want to still be hanging around college campus, but those guys are not hanging out at college. No. They're married with children and going to like church and Bible study every week. Like they live a different life. They just happen to do that. You know what I mean? They're not like what we think of when we were in college, like going to parties and like going out all the time.
Yeah, you always see that like at the NCAA tournament or Big Ten championships, the guy will get interviewed and thank his wife and
the kids.
My wife supporting me. It's just the different world.
And if you ever like go to their Instagram, you're like,
Scott,
oh, are you
wife.
35? Like it's crazy. Sometimes they have like multiple children.
Yeah, and I was wondering, like, how do you support these people? How do you have any money?
Right. So weird.
But so I don't. My thoughts on it is that I don't see it as a tremendous advantage, and I'm kind of looking forward to that era being done.
Like that whole cycle,
COVID cycle to be done, and just like a fresh start. But NCAA wrestling has changed so much that you could like people pay to come back for another year, like RBY and those guys. But I don't know. It's changed a lot. I'm less interested in it than I have in other years.
Do you think you're less interested because of all that stuff, or because there's more content with like jiu-jitsu and MMA?
It could be that.
Yeah,
it could be that.
Like ADCC fills a little bit of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been less interested the last couple years. But yeah, it's probably that.
Yeah.
Someone asked for all of us, who is a dream guest?
Dream guest? Mine would be Tim Dillon.
Oh man, that's a good one.
I don't even care if he's on the podcast. I just want to hang out with him.
That's a good one.
I just want to hang out with him and talk shit. Oh, I like have such a crush on Tim Dillon.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Zane, do you have anyone you'd like to have on?
Judd Apatow.
Judd Apatow.
Oh my God.
Okay. You don't even know who that is.
Yes, I do.
Zane lies.
He directed The Hangover.
You never seen The Hangover?
Zane did. I don't even think he directed that.
I don't think he did either.
He didn't. 40-Year-Old Virgin.
This is 40.
This is 40. Yeah, but Knocked Up. But all movies that Zane's never seen, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know who I kind of want to have on?
Who?
If we get like Andrew Tate on just to pick his brain.
Well, that's who I was gonna say.
I love Andrew Tate on.
But I also, I mean, yeah,
I would make him so much coffee.
Yeah, I gotta have Andrew Tate.
Like that would be just so interesting. Like
he's still in jail.
We can go to him.
They're like seizing his cars.
Tim Dillon just went to him.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
in jail?
Before he went to jail, but just recently.
I would love him on. I would make him dinner, coffee, talk about fighting.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know if he really agrees with me fighting. But
I'm sure he does.
No, I would think for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd probably be tough to get on. But yeah, probably I'd have to say him. But we have a couple good guests coming starting next
I
week.
could get advice from OnlyFans from him too.
Yeah, definitely. Or he could manage you.
Yeah.
And you'd give him half the money.
Yeah. We could
Yeah,
live at his
how
house.
it started. Yeah.
Is that who yours was gonna be?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who else?
Eh.
That's pretty. Tim Dillon and Andrew Tate's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
What about Kanye?
I'd like Kanye. You'd like him.
Kim?
You would.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah.
I feel like I'd want Kanye and you'd want Kim.
Yeah.
I
Well,
want
you're
Pete
not supposed to
Davidson.
like.
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson.
That
for
would be
sure.
fun.
Yeah.
This was a weird question.
I love weird questions.
I thought, well, just very observant, I guess. But apparently, maybe you posted a picture on your story and it said, Serm's all black outfit choice.
Oh, yeah. When we went out. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I posted a picture of you and me, and we were both wearing all black, but I don't know.
that's a weird question. I
would
wouldn't
see
even
if
notice
we
that.
were
I feel like
wearing
I
all white.
always wear black.
No, not really.
Black
Not to me.
t-shirts. No?
Black t-shirts, but I've never seen you wear all black. I always see you in like casual stuff.
Well, you see him
Well,
at the
that's
gym. That doesn't
casual.
count. Like,
Well, I see him casual when he does like the podcast. He'll put like a flannel on. And
Yeah, but
That's
that's
different. We were out. But the reason I was in all black was because it was an all black party in clothes. not-
Usually it's a green t-shirt with the gold chain and the black jeans.
Usually. I love that t-shirt.
no, but you've shifted. It's funny they say that just because, like, I think, like maybe like 6 months ago, you said you're like, I'm only gonna wear black t-shirts now.
Yeah, I did say that.
So I was like, wait, that's all you wear.
Yeah.
But I guess you do still have other stuff. But maybe you don't always. Maybe you might wear right, like different color pants with them. You might not always wear black pants. Maybe that's it. But I don't know. You wear
Yeah,
dark,
it's
dark
very
where it looks
observant,
like
very
it.
observant question.
And I thought about that too. I was like, I'm just gonna start buying everything in black. Because I go through like phases where I get really high and I want to be a minimalist.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'll just like look around the house. I'm like, there's so much shit in here. And I just start throwing everything out. And I think we just have too much stuff.
Yeah.
But I just need a lot of workout clothes.
Yeah, that takes up a lot of space.
But that's like, minimalist is like exactly what you need. I need.
That's what you need though.
But
for
yeah,
sure.
I think I just buying everything black is like the way to go. It like always looks nicer.
I agree. And it's
Does-
just simple.
Doesn't show stains.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll
It's like, what are you?
wrap things up soon. But Zane, are you gonna get in the cold tub after this?
Oh,
If I do it, Caitlin has to go in right after.
So we just got a cold plunge. It's called cold plunge.
yeah. It's
But it's really good. It goes to 39 degrees. The water stays like a circulating filtration system.
keep it.
I've been using it every day since we got it, about a week. Caitlin's yet to use it. I'd like to get Zane in there, but it's insane. I mean, I hate saying it's almost embarrassing at this point to like say you have a cold plunge because it's so basic now. Like
Mhm.
everyone's posting videos, but I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
You feel so good when you get out of there. You like feel like high. Like it's crazy.
How
feel
long are you
really
supposed to stay
good.
in?
I stay 3 minutes.
I'll give you 1 minute.
What do you mean 1 minute?
I'll give you 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
If you
Zane-
could do 1 minute, you could do 5 because the first 30 seconds are the hardest.
when Kyle goes in, it doesn't even look like it's hard for him. He just goes in and is just like,
But I'm really becoming like I said, like a walking podcast, like with cold plunge, and drinking salt water in the morning and butter coffee. I'm doing all things you hear like. On
I think you're just a
podcasts.
wellness
A
king.
wellness podcast. That's what I'm
Mhm.
becoming, and I'm embracing it.
I love that for you.
Yeah. Anything else? We got anything else?
Nothing.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys. We love you. Bye.